Matt Mayoko, who is the OG of 49ers beat writers. I love Matt Mayoko. I've known him since I was a little kid. Wrote an article yesterday, saying that trading Jimmy Garoppolo is now a long shot. If Matt Mayoko said, I think we could have figured that out on our own, but if he says it, I think it's a long shot. The two places that he could possibly start this year are Carolina and Seattle, and barring them making an offer for Jimmy, he's going to be a backup this year. And the best place for him to be a backup, according to Mayoko, is the 49ers. What do you think, man?
Well, I think to start off with the other destinations that he could probably go to, I'm going to rule out Seattle as a trade destination for multiple reasons. For one, they're in the division. For two, why would Seattle want to do that?
Thank you. They know what Jimmy Garoppolo is. They see him up close twice a year. Are you kidding me?
Well, and they also appear to be
DK would hold out if he got Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, well, I'm never getting the ball again. There you go.
Well, and they might trade DK, so I don't even know what Seattle's trying to accomplish this season. In my mind, everything's headed for Seattle trying to tank for one of those quarterbacks who's going to be in the next draft class, which is supposed to be a very, very good draft class. So to me, they seem more like a number one overall pick contender than they do seem a Jimmy Garoppolo contender. Yeah. And then to go to Carolina, I think there's one situation where they do actually get Jimmy Garoppolo and where they do make the trade for him is that if they are going to or planning to draft a specific quarterback in the draft, let's say it's Malik Willis, and that guy just isn't available to them in their top 10 pick, they might have to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo because they won't have really many other options. If their draft board is a certain way where it's Malik Willis or bust, and they're not going to pick Kenny Pickett even if he's there, to me, that is the path to Carolina for Jimmy Garoppolo. And even then, I think the 49ers would have to take about half of the salary back from Jimmy Garoppolo or do some sort of deal like that where, they're not going to be putting all that money on Carolina. Carolina can't go into the season with Sam Darnold and Jimmy Garoppolo's full contracts on their roster. That would just be ridiculous. So, in terms of Jimmy Garoppolo being traded being a long shot, I agree with that. And I think the only thing that's going to change that is if a quarterback just gets hurt or something catastrophic happens to a team who's in a win now mode. So if you're banking on that, I don't have much confidence in that happening. And then in terms of Jimmy being a backup for the 49ers, to me, that seems like pretty much the only path right now, besides the other one, which we'll talk about next. But I think in terms of what the 49ers are willing to do, they're going to have to just let Jimmy Garoppolo sit on the bench for $27 million, which is insane. But I guess you get a third-round pick out of it.
What Matt said is that they're going to force, if he stays as a backup, that he would be forced to take a dramatic pay cut. And that Mayoko's saying he can leave. He could say, no, I don't want to be on the 49ers, but then he'd have to probably go be a backup somewhere else. And so your choice is be a backup. Jimmy's choice is be a backup somewhere else where they don't know him. He doesn't have the locker room in his pocket. It's a totally new situation. Don't know what's going to happen. Or be the backup here. The team loves you. Trey Lance is an unknown. He could falter. He could get hurt. And then Jimmy Garoppolo steps into a team where he knows the system, he knows the players, and he could be the savior once again in a contract year. From Mayoko is kind of selling it from the team's perspective. Like, hey, man, you could go be the backup for Mac Jones in New England for, whatever, like $3 million, or you could be the backup for Trey Lance for like maybe $10 million here. And I think it's not what you wanted, but you having surgery isn't what we wanted. I still think it's the best option for you to be here. And from Jimmy's perspective, it seemed like he wants to leave on principle, but it also seemed like he wanted to be a starter somewhere. And if the best he can do, like the Mitchell Trubisky year off, where you're taking a back seat to someone, like, if you were to leave, would he sign a 1 year? He'd have to sign a 1 year deal somewhere, right? Because he's going to be a free agent next year. So I don't know. Do you think it's in his best interest to be Trey Lance's backup for whatever the Niners offer him?
To me, in that situation, it sounds like the 49ers are essentially threatening to cut him or take a pay cut, right?
Right.
And
We'll be like, we'll pay
that
you more than anyone else, but you're not going to get
right.
$27 million here. But we'll pay you more than the next best offer.
I still think if I'm Jimmy Garoppolo from his perspective, I might rather get cut just because I think that's what they've been planning all along. Now, I don't think there are any good
Just
quarterback
to leave,
destinations
just to leave
left.
with your head held high and not be embarrassed. That you're like, okay, now I'm the backup here. Like that's embarrassing.
Right.
Right?
And I think to have that team taken away in that sort of way where you're the highest paid player on the team and the team is forced to cut you, that to me is the most embarrassing situation for everyone involved, including the team, right? Because the team could have just cut him before the start of the new league year. This would not be an issue that it is right now. So, yeah, I think the 49ers' best option, if they're going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster, is to cut and re-sign him to a new contract. That to me is pretty much the only way you can get out of this if you're keeping him on the team.
I just don't like this idea, though. I mean, I
No.
understand the Niners trying to sell it to Jimmy and I understand why Jimmy might want to do it because from Jimmy's perspective, he might think Trey Lance is trash. Trey Lance is going to flop. I mean, from his perspective, who knows? He might think, oh, Lance is going to fall on his face, or this offensive line is trash. He's going to get hurt. I get hurt behind this offensive line all the freaking time. Like,
Yeah.
I'll get another chance, and then I'll have Debo Samuel, George Kittle. I mean, I know I can, put up good numbers on this team. So why don't I just stay here as opposed to going to like Houston and backing up Davis Mills or something like that? So from his perspective, I could kind of see it. But from the Niners' perspective, it's asking for trouble. It's putting too much pressure on Lance. It's dividing the locker room. You want to get a good backup quarterback for $5 million? Go sign Cam Newton. Go sign Colin Kaepernick. It'd probably be even cheaper. But you keep Jimmy Garoppolo here, and you're asking for trouble. I think it's a big mistake, and I think they're going to do it because we don't see eye to eye somehow, even though I'm quality control.
Nope, and they value that third round pick very highly. The third round compensatory pick that they could get if he's going to walk in free agency. Which, Grant, I see your reaction right now, but I'm telling you, I think
how good are the Niners at drafting between rounds 3 and 5? Really? Okay, they got Fred Warner, great, good, hell of a pick. They got George Kittle, great pick. They got Mitch Wishnowsky, Dre Greenlaw. Am I missing anyone here? That's 5 years, like 4 dudes.
Yeah.
What is their hit rate in round 3 through 5? Like 15%? Is it really worth it? They also got Trey Sermon in round 3. They also got Akello Witherspoon in round 3. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. For every Ambry Thomas, there's an Aaron Banks, right? So
I don't even know if Ambry Thomas is good. They would play him 10 yards off the ball and say, please don't get beat deep. Please don't do a PI. And then they replaced him. First thing this offseason, they're like, look, you're great, but we just spent a lot of money on a 25-year-old cornerback. So we'll see you in a few years. Maybe. All right. So don't do this, 49ers. I'm really disappointed that you're like trying to salvage this. You know it's bad for the locker room. They're like, we have a tight-knit locker room. We're above this. Word. You sure?
You want to find out?
You want to find out? Test it.